What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Core Conversations for a Freestyle Tuesday. This is your chance to join me on screen, even though you're not a scheduled guest. We're going to chop it up, talk it up, and want you to be a part. Dad goals as always, and thank you for joining us. Do a couple housekeeping things here. The Core Conversations podcast. Hope everyone's doing well. Hey everybody, custom cores, body mechanics Pilates, H2O for all. H2O for all, what do you do? Just out of curiosity. Adrienne, how was your day? How are things? So if you're watching this on the replay or just jumping into the live right now, if you have any online classes, workshops, workouts, anything lined up, please put it in the comment section. I know that there is so many conferences happening that are, I guess, a mix of hybrid and live. Like this weekend, CanFit Pro here in Canada. So in Toronto, there's a CanFit Pro conference. It's one of the conferences that I go to most years. Obviously, with COVID, I hadn't been in a few. I work with the TRX people. Let's go and hang out in spot, just float around, help them out. And it'd be fun to do some connections. So I'm not sure if I'm going this year just yet. Gotta stay locked on this campaign, which means sacrificing some things. So I'm still debating it. I'd love to go and see some people in real life, but gotta stay eyes on the prize, right? So we'll see. So Adrienne, I forgot to ask, are you doing, Anita. So, hi, what's going on? I was gonna say, are you teaching classes, do you have any workshops, stuff like that going on? And Anita, if you would like to join me on screen, so let's talk about our anniversary. Is it yesterday or today? What's going on? And how was your trip? All kinds of things to catch up with you on if you have a moment. So close and yet so far. Especially if we got to meet in Italy. Better than meeting in London, Ontario, Canada. Cool. I didn't know we had the same anniversary. Very cool. If you want to join me on screen, please do. If you're busy, all good.
got to turn my camera around. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
My very, very faulty camera, but here we are.
good. Actually, hold on for a second too. I didn't.
Yeah.
There you go. Headphones are working now. There. Do you need to clean your screen, or is it just like really like sunny and hazy because of the background there?
No, it's I need to change my phone. I could maybe just chip the glass off even more and free the camera.
Times are tough.
It's me being stubborn. I had a real, yeah, it's me versus phone, and phone is like, no, I win.
It's funny.
How are you?
I'm doing great. It seems like so long since we chatted.
It has been. Oh my goodness. I can't even do the math.
So you're
And
in
we
Canada?
yeah, we came that close to meeting. Like it would have been but it's really hard when we're with family
Yes.
to to say, okay, I'm gonna just pick up, leave it. Even if I think time wise, like on paper, it would have worked out fine, or you probably could have pulled it off. But
Sure.
um,
Yeah.
there's always that question mark, especially uh, when you're hanging out with family. It's kind of like it's not your time.
That was political. Yes. No, I hear you. And you went from Ontario to London?
Yes. Yeah, so I'm from London, Ontario,
Yeah.
and my family is there. Currently, my father lives there, and my brother and my sister are both there.
Hmm.
And they travel, actually, like Toronto is kind of like our second, I was going to say backyard, but maybe it's the other way around. London is Toronto's backyard.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but we feel very comfortable in Toronto.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And my father, I think, when he first came to Canada, he lived in, oh, I wanted to say Markham,
Okay.
Mississauga or Markham. I can't remember now. Now I'm mixing this history up with another family member. But anyhow, we feel
Okay.
very comfortable in Toronto. I am going to shut off. I've got something going on here. Okay. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Oh, good. So happy
Yeah.
belated anniversary.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. It's so fun. We never knew that.
Yeah, I saw that come up on the stories. And how many years has it been for you? Oh, hi, Sunny.
Oh, gosh. It's been 5 years.
Okay, nice, good. So you're still in the honeymoon phase.
It's so funny, It's like let's discuss.
Yeah, okay. So it's like Central Station here.
Yeah, I know, right?
My brain's going off in a million directions. So you're going to say, let's discuss. Yes.
Let's discuss. Well, it's so funny because people say that, 5 years old is just your honeymoon phase. Somebody else like, well, I don't know. Like, it's. And I was talking about this yesterday. Being married a second time too. It's interesting, right? Because like you're in
Yeah.
this place where the second time around, you kind of have a better sense of who you are, what you want, where you are in life, all those different things. So you kind of land in this place where you're just in a good spot. So it looks like a honeymoon phase, like not that you're saying it's gonna whittle away one day, but like people look at it and just perceive that it's just like this is just because of how early it is. It's like, well, no, it's kind of like this is what it is because of where I'm at in my life right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, honeymoon is also different for everybody. You
Yeah,
know, for some people, it's a big, extravagant thing. And for other people, it's just kind of like a drive around tiny towns. And okay, that was our honeymoon.
mhm, yeah,
I think my husband and we are the kind of people who like to think that we are very low maintenance. And so we actually started with this idea of like, yeah, let's get married in a really simple way. Of course, I come from Korean Canadian family where, low key affair is not acceptable for marriage. And my husband comes from a family of 10 siblings. And he's the youngest of 10. So no, I mean, even the simplest, smallest affair would be, you're into hundreds of people.
Hundreds of people. Yeah.
Yeah. We did manage to pull off low-key events. We just had to do it in the plural. And so that's why I said, yesterday was one of our anniversaries. And it's kind of nice. Yeah.
So
Kind of nice having 2 anniversaries.
2 anniversaries. Too funny. So when's the next one then?
The last one was July, a month ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Both summer events, to allow family travel and yeah.
And you celebrate both?
I mean, no, but our daughter's turning 12, and I think it's nice to create a tradition of, like this is when we did this is when we did that. As we get older, I think also we appreciate that, those were nice memories. And I mean, my husband and I did not plan anything. We just happened to be out. We happened to be downtown for a morning errand, and we said, okay, let's go to lunch. And afterwards I said, oh, it's our anniversary. We have to get a picture. And he's not on social media. And so he begrudgingly accepted. And actually he got into it. He was like, okay, let's take another picture. Okay, this time let's do another picture. Hold.
Exposing the guy now.
So, yeah. So, yeah. Honeymoon phase can come back too. I'm not saying that it's not sweet anymore after.
No, exactly. Well, how do you define a honeymoon phase? Like, what is it just a sense of like the novelty of it, or the fact that you're happy still? Like, I mean,
no, I mean, I think people do. For me, it's still it's relatively young. Even if you come into the relationship pretty mature, like I came to motherhood as a fully formed human being. I had all my education behind me. I had lots of experience with my younger siblings. And you could say like I had a wealth of knowledge, but I was still a new mom, So you come into these experiences kind of fresh. There's a freshness about it that 10 years down the line, of course, you can't compare that to 5, although some 5 years you cannot compare to other people's 40 years. But it's just the time element, like if you're blessed that you have 5 years that you could say, this has been really awesome. And then you're just going to grow with that and move forward with that. So,
I agree with you on that. And I think on the weekend, I met with a couple that I'd seen, like I met a long, long time ago, and old like gym friends, like 20 years ago, and now they're retired, and and they're not doing like big extravagant trips across the world and stuff, but like they go hiking, and then they go to the gym together at 9 o'clock in the morning, and the kids are like have moved out and they're married and they're doing their thing. And I'm like, you guys are like living like your best life right now, right? And they're like, oh yeah, like this is, and it's almost like that honeymoon phase due to the fact that they're empty nesters and retired.
Right. Yeah. And that's a new beginning too. I mean, I can't,
absolutely.
Like, I noticed that, 12 years of parenting, after 12 years of parenting, when my husband and I are by ourselves, the whole time we're talking about her. So, I mean, it's like, okay, kind of, but that's
hi,
maybe.
My name is,
Right, yeah. If she were to leave home, we'd definitely be looking across the table going, oh my gosh, who are you? Do you have plans? You want to go out?
Can I get your phone number?
Yeah. We'd kind of have to start over again. Yeah. You get so immersed into that kind of, in Italy, they call it your head underwater. Mm-hmm. So like you come up for air and it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Right. Which, in relationships, I always talk about that. Like, how do you cultivate your relationship? How do you continue to date forever and pursue one another to a point that when that day comes, it's not a reacquainting process?
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it's something that's being renewed every single day. But yeah, I would say it takes a lot of help. It takes a lot of thought and a lot of doing. to get the relationship in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it goes on its own. Maybe you have to keep working away at it.
I think you always got to keep working at it. Like in working at it, like my wife says, keep working at it until it looks like it's easy, right? Like, because you're both reciprocating that effort being put in.
Yeah. And doing the effort, I think, is what makes it look easy. Like ironically, the more we work at it, it's kind of like Pilates. Like you're working at it and you're thinking, this is really messy, this is really ugly. But that's where the refining happens.
Yes.
And from the outside, people are like, oh my gosh, you're so flexible, you're so strong, that looks so amazing, you're so coordinated. But, meanwhile, the inner experience of the person actually doing it is like, it's not perfect, but I'm just going to do what I can do.
Yes. I'm just going to be consistent with it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just let that consistency yield its own results, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like your core conversations. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
It just showed up.
Well, and Nia, you could appreciate this too. And I see you talked to Jen too. It was a great conversation last week. Hi, Jen. There's an element of faith that comes into these as well. Like last 2 days, for example, I don't have any guests planned. Yesterday we had a conversation about anniversaries and asked people like what their secret to long-lasting marriages and had some fun with it. Today you pop up. I'm like, this is great. This isn't scripted. You just kind of just jump in with that which you just do and just see how it unfolds, right? So
right. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a quote from Michael Jordan or some other like Hall of Fame basketball player, and he was basically saying, master the fundamentals.
Mm.
So, if we're kind of we're talking marriage right now, everybody, but we're talking Pilates as well in the sense of like, there's an element of mastering the fundamentals of the thing that makes the rest of it look easy.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I had somebody come in today and we started with heel drags.
Mm-hmm.
And she's somebody who can do intermediate, almost advanced reformer, but she's got something going on for which, reason we start with heel drags. And I was amazed at how heel drag was kind of like the lesson of the whole system. We worked on the reformer, the tower, the chair. And it was like, find the heel drag. Believe it or not, it's every single exercise. And it was, that fundamental becomes your tool to refine and level up everywhere else.
Yes.
So that the hard stuff all of a sudden, like it's almost like you have to trick your mastery, I think, is really about tricking yourself so that the hard stuff becomes easy and the easy stuff, like you give it the due respect. And it will open doors for you so the hard stuff gets like manageable. It's like you realize it's at your fingertips.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The humble heel drag. Who knew?
Right. Yes.
Some people would be like, "Oh, I'm so I'm much more advanced than that. Why she got me doing heel drags?"
Yeah. So I mean, that's as a movement specialist, I would say personal trainer or Pilates person, whatever. I look at those things like, okay, well, how do we connect those fundamentals to everything else? One, how do we get deeper within our work by getting better at those fundamentals? Like, how do you know what I mean? Like, I love just making those basic movements look so clean and so crisp and so connected.
Right.
You could just launch into everything else from that. So like, for me, that's interesting. I mean, like, but how do we even cultivate, like, how do we get people to get excited about those things instead of like putting their nose up in the air because they should be doing advanced reformer right now? Sort of thing.
Well, I think if you get distracted by the glitz and the glam of fancy technique, then you miss the thread,
Mm.
You miss the fundamental origin of everything. It makes me think of like this is purely anecdotal, but I'm sure it's based in some truth somewhere, about how an apprentice went to a cooking school and the first thing they learned was how to boil an egg, how to make the perfect boiled egg, and you're like, oh gosh, you got to be kidding me. But if you think about like how many times do you make your perfect egg every time? There is a method to that. And if you can lock into how to make that perfectly boiled egg, it's kind of like then all of cooking opens up to you. It's not about the boiled egg. It's about the timing, the patience, the know-how. And like once you've locked into that method, can you be consistent with that? There's that C word again.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Right. Well, it's funny that that's a great example of that practical application of that. 'Cause my mind went to like the other end of that, where you put out there like you're so perfect at the big stuff. And if we bring it back over to the marriage, like when you see people and have pictures of them on vacation together and they're fine dining in the middle of the week and they're this and they're perfect kids and it's just like, okay, well, all that glitz stuff is nice, but do you actually like each other? Right?
It's so easy to smile for the camera.
It's just a moment in time.
You know, sometimes people will be like, "Oh, it looks like you had a fabulous vacation," and I think to myself, "I'm glad it looked that way."
Right.
But no, truth be told, the blessing is when you can show glimpses and also know that even the glimpses and the glam don't even measure up to 1/10 of how awesome it was. And that's when you know you've got the right thing going on. And I was like, yeah, that's, I think social media should serve you and not the other way around.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I find that some of my best moments are the ones that I forgot to pick my phone up.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
And then you see like an after the fact, or this is what happened yesterday kind of post, and I'm scrambling to find some picture that I might have taken throughout the day because I was so caught up in the moment, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's when you know you've got the right balance of what you're throwing up there and how you've got a good work-life balance when that happens.
Yeah.
Always keep the best for yourself.
I know, right? Too funny. Yeah, that's true. Interesting. We always say like the way you do Pilates is the way you do life, but I think we just kind of use marriage as an example of that right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it can't be separated. The more I get into this stuff, I think that the awesome thing about it is doing a workout, movement, having a movement practice is really about like our hopes for the future. There's a lot of hope in it, right? Because we hope to improve our health. We hope to improve how we show up for other people. If my health is good, then my family is good, and they can also improve their health by, basically if I go on a diet, my whole family goes on a diet. So,
Yeah.
So, we are all connected that way. And I think hopefully, it starts with the family, and it must radiate outwards to friends as well, because it changes how you relate to them, and also what kind of activities you're going to choose.
True.
So, but I forget where I was going with that thought. Oh, that movement. Yeah, it's not just about exercise.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, even if we're not talking about exercise, it really is about like how we show up for everybody in our lives.
Yeah, exactly. For those of you who are just jumping in, it's Anita's anniversary was yesterday on the same day as mine. So we started talking about life and marriage and talking about movement and Mr. Spread Love. What's going on, Jason? Kara just popped, some Toronto people just popped up in the chat here too, so it's fun.
Oh, from home.
No. Yeah, so but it's those fundamentals. I was gonna ask you, it's almost a personal question. You don't have to really answer it per se, but like just think about it. We're talking about those fundamentals earlier, and saying like whether it's in Pilates and movement, but then on the marriage side, like those fundamentals, master the fundamentals. What are those basic elements? Yesterday I was asking the question, for those who've been married for 10, 20 years, like what are the secrets? What are some of those fundamentals, those non-negotiables that you need to master in a relationship to help to keep it healthy?
I think my husband and I actually there's so much that we don't have to work at, that sometimes we can get caught up in how easy things are. And every once in a while we have to kind of like, one of us, usually me, will dig our heels in and be like, this is not good enough.
Yes.
And I'll explode, and all of a sudden everybody takes stock and will be like, okay, don't do this because it's really going to trip the wires.
Yes.
Mom's gonna explode. But I think it's because I'm so good at being so patient for so long, and often overestimate that. And I think we all, like, if you're habitually a patient person and you're that person, people are always apologizing to, oh, I'm sorry, I'll get it in soon. I have a really funny story, but I'm not going to share it on the gram. Just bookmark that. We'll do
All
behind.
right. Okay.
But like, if people are always apologizing to you and you're always used to saying, oh, it's okay, no problem. After a while, you get into this area where you're not actually sincere. You forget to check in with yourself, and you forget to, do some checks and balances and be like, no, actually, this time it's not okay. It really isn't okay. And we have like gone 3 apologies too far, and I'm about to lose it.
Right.
And it's not your fault. It's because I didn't.
Yesterday too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my fault if I don't put the boundaries. And so we've actually had to learn to kind of like figure out how to be a little bit more vocal and a bit more explosive, because my husband and I, we're so good at being very patient and quietly patient and long suffering. And we found out that we can actually do it to a point where it's no longer serving a purpose. It's not doing anything good.
Let's discuss. That so that rings true for me. I was saying yesterday too that I would be the person in my first marriage that would just say sorry, quick. Like, diffuse it like a bomb. Let's just quick cut the right wire and let's move on before this blows up.
Right.
And you're never actually dealing with anything.
Yeah. It's avoidance. You're just avoiding the conflict.
Right.
And it's like in Pilates. Sorry, I have to bring it back to Pilates.
Oh, I love it.
It's an eat your veggies moment. And it goes for the gym too. There's that movement. Like, maybe maybe you've been coasting at a certain level. Like, when I was doing my teacher training, we were told, watch yourself, and you got to think about the long-term goal. So, just be careful not to injure yourself, and you don't give your 100% for every single workout. And that can turn into a habit.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're like, I'm just trying to protect myself. And you can get into a zone where you don't know what 100% feels like anymore, and you're fooling yourself. Not out of any you're not being disingenuous, but it's just self-preservation. It's like, if I'm going to work out, if I'm going to practice and work out every single day, maybe even 2 or 3 times a day, I got to watch it.
Right.
But then what happens when you're not going all the way anymore?
When you're saying about being patient and long suffering before, and that the danger with that is that you become comfortable, right? And you kind of just
uncomfortably comfortable, yeah.
Uncomfortably uncomfortable, right? You fall into these patterns, and is not productive, and it just kind of gets there. You don't really grow, but then you can stay in this holding pattern. And as my wife says, like, in her first marriage, like, they used to boast about being status quo, like even keeled, everything's good.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like what you were saying a minute ago about not going 100%, you get to this place of complacency or apathy, or like it's like a still water, right? Like, there's nothing that's really happening. Right. And and both of us kind of have a faith background, everyone who's watching it. And one of the lines that I grew up with, which I in retrospect, I feel like was a real dangerous line for me, was divorce is not an option. So in my first marriage, when we were talking about that, and you're in church circles, you're in all these different circles, and you read books and everything's about divorce is not an option, divorce is not an option. In my head, I got to this place, well, divorce isn't an option, so I don't have to try.
Ooh. Ooh. Right. It was,
This
oh,
you
right.
get
Oh,
comfortable because no one can
yeah.
walk anyways. We don't have to work at
Yeah.
enhancing this. We'll just get through this rough patch. We'll figure it out. You don't redouble your efforts to make it better.
Right. You relied on it as your parachute. Yeah. Yeah. And I think the real, I mean, we know how marriage is. Even a good marriage, it takes a lot of work. And I think the intention behind that is that there are solutions to many of the problems. Some problems have no solution, however. And that is not the moment where we say divorce is not an option.
Yep. So flipping it back over to that place of having more assertiveness and vocalizing where you're at and what you need, I feel like maybe that's why it looks like this is my honeymoon phase 5 years in, because I don't care now, right? Like there's a
Right.
sense of I'm going to share it. We are going to talk about this because we're not fighting against one another. We're fighting for
Yeah.
something. So that
Yeah.
conflict makes it richer. So this relationship gets better every day because I'm not like throwing out a quick sorry to diffuse a situation, or she's not patiently sitting on her hands because she doesn't want to say anything. We can actually talk it out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then if I
Yeah.
could throw one more piece on that too, I've also, because I've gone through a divorce, I've gone to the place of all the emotion, everything. I also know what it looks like if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of that. So I can give more to this. I can put more energy into this. Like your Pilates workout, I don't have to save it and go 70% all the time in case I'm not successful. I
Right.
can go 100% and
Yeah.
reap the benefits of going 100% every time.
Yeah. Yeah. You've discovered that it's very empowering to have been to the brink. Like I learned that after the death of my mother, actually, that gave me a lot of insight into some close friends and what their family went through as a result of the divorce. And my friend had shared with me what her daughter was feeling, and I happened to just, it's like those fleeting moments where you somehow happen to be face to face once every 5 years. And I said to her, now I know what you went through. And she said, yeah.
Yes.
And I know
Loss
what
is
you're,
loss.
yeah. And it was a death of many layers of expectations and your sense of security, what you depend on. I mean, it's just, everything. Your mind, your heart, your soul, everything goes through that. And it could be a death, it could be a divorce, it could be, so many different things, but you feel that loss, as you said,
Yep.
in
Yep.
all those deep and profound ways. And yeah, it gives you power to realize, like you said, I have the power to choose now for the good and for
Yes.
life and
For
for
life.
things
Yeah.
that are going to build up my family, things that are going to
Yes.
build us up. Because if I don't, that energy can easily go into being afraid of things not going well. And
Right.
I can either sit there paralyzed by fear, or I can keep hoping and having faith in a better future.
Absolutely. Like talking to Jen says, surviving versus living.
Oh yeah.
Surviving or thriving, or like, that person. This imagery comes to my mind of you're on a job and you can do the job in a way that you just don't get fired, or you can
Yeah.
do the job from a place of passion, right? Like,
Right. Yeah. 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 Who are you serving? How are you showing up for them? What do you stand for? It's
yeah,
yeah, it's a really interesting thing. And then ethics can get involved in there, but maybe ethics, it's not hard and fast. Maybe one person's ethics is another person's, it's not that important to them.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have to get going, but I'm so glad that this
Nice.
happened, and I apologize, but we'll just pretend this is a filter.
Yes. I know.
I chose this filter.
Yes. That's awesome.
Happy
That'll make,
anniversary.
thank you. Happy anniversary to you as well. Are you stretching it out for the week, or is it like yesterday and done?
Oh, yesterday, the fact that we took pictures, I think that's plenty.
Plenty. I'll hold you
We have
to
more.
swear.
Yeah. All right.
Anita, thank you as always for a great chat. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Same to you. It was really deep. Thank you.
Yeah.
And to leave X.
Top rate X. Yep. All right. Well, I just like bared my soul for 37 minutes. How's everyone else doing? What's going on? It's pretty therapeutic, man. Jen, how are you? I know Misty's not here, but if you want to join us on screen, that'd be great. Stephanie, how are you? A long time no see. Hope everything's going well. Hi, Lisa. Inspiredbrand.co. Good to see you. Thank you so much. There's a sense of gratitude. And I have to say that, you know, every time I get in these conversations and we start talking about like marriage, life, divorce, and circle back around to marriage, I feel like there's a sense of gratitude for the stage of life that I'm in. And I listen to myself when I say it, and everyone is the same in this. Like, you check yourself and you check how you present your story, your low moment stories, and how does it sound. And I notice that the further I get away from those moments, the less of a victim I sound in my own story. The further I get away from my story and that moment of impact, so to speak, the less I sound like a victim in my own story. So it's interesting. So I like it. Almost like that's something that might check in. And not that I'm throwing myself into those conversations every time, but when they pop up and the story comes out, I listen to it. I listen to how much I even vilify my ex-wife, who I get along with great. She's not a villain by any means, but when you're a victim in a victim mentality, it's easy to paint other people as like just as villains, right? And that's not right, and that's not where it's at. But you hear it, hurt people, right? So check those stories, check them at the door, and this is where we are. Reading Inspired Brands comment, all good here. I've been taking a step back this summer to reevaluate my goals and enjoy some family time. Lovely. That family time is key, and I hope that you're taking that to build and to grow as well. I call it those digging phases, you know, like when we had, like right at the beginning of COVID and we're in these lockdowns and no one could do anything, that was a time to like dig your foundation. If you're going to build a massive skyscraper, the very first thing to do is dig down first. And the bigger the building height, the deeper the hole that they dig for the foundation. So hope this is a digging phase for you, Stephanie. I hope that this is a time where you can get a chance to lay some solid foundations and then come out of your family time with just locked in and ready to roll for the September and through the year. So all good in the hood. What else is going on, everybody? Any online classes, any workshops, any conferences coming up? I know CanFit's coming up here in Toronto. Anything else coming up? Not even sure. I noticed it was more of a trend towards more live stuff once again. As much as people said that online is going to continue, and people are just dying for like a human touch, a hug, and a high five. So keep the virtual stuff alive, I guess. But like it looks like people want that human touch. What's your thoughts on that? What are you seeing? Nice. Lisa said she's finished painting cubicles and new office and planning for fall schedule for classes. That is so good. Stephen saying absolutely human touch is important. Jen saying being in person idea again was like Disneyland. I can imagine. Parents requesting more in person versus virtual. Yeah, honestly, Jen, I wouldn't be surprised if Camp Fit this weekend's like that too. Like as much as I don't want to go, just like stay canvassing and just pounding pavement. I really feel like I want to be there just for that. Right? Like that's gonna be so good. Love to do some live core conversation with my Pilates people in the area. I'm not sure if Michael Piercy is going to be there. Second favorite. Yeah, it's legit. It's fun. And my TRX peeps and Peter Twists and Rob Foster and all of them. All the people that you saw earlier on my core conversations, like they're all through. Yeah, Tasha is presenting virtually. That's true. Oh, very cool. My people virtual. I still have the plan to touch base with all of my core conversations guests in real life at some point. We're gonna do it. Pilates on tour, core conversations on tour with Misty. It'd be fun. It's in the works. I'm just gonna get through October 1st. All right, party people. We're back at it tomorrow. We have no Misty tomorrow. She's in Sacramento. She's doing her conference and her balanced body stuff. So back at it. I'm reading stuff and saying I think both are good for now because some people are getting injury from conversations if they can't be in front of a person. Injury from it? Well, okay, yeah, that's probably a typo in there. But benefit, I'm sure. So yeah, I mean, keeping the virtual going because I mean these are our touch points with people, right? So I love this. Energy, that's a word, not injury. Energy. Nice. True, for sure. What was I going to say? Tomorrow is fun. So we'll do core conversations and I'm out and you'll see maybe in my Instagram post what we're up to tomorrow night. It's gonna be a fun time. And yeah, good to go. Thank you so much for joining us. We're back at it tomorrow as always. Anita, so good to catch up with you, drop some wisdom and some reflection on people. And we are out.